Okay. My name is Josh Lee. I'm currently a state trainer for Kansas MTSS. And trained in the area of systems alignment and math. But I'm going to do this as if I had my previous job. I was a middle school and high school intervention teacher for math. And so I ran the PLC and all that and worked with the data there. So, just that works for simplicity here. So in my previous position, we collected Aimswell Plus data for our screener. We had common assessments that were given in classes. We did progress monitoring. We did the interim assessments to the state, and we had other teacher formatives. We collected all of this data, and then when we had collaborative team meetings, I would try to make data a part of it, but it was hard to get teachers to realize like this is important, and it was more like the teachers when they had that time together wanted to co-plan and figure out what was the next lesson they're teaching the next day or the next week or whatever, and so we didn't have that buy-in to like really dig into the data. I'd love to be able to get more teacher buy-in to making database decision making a larger part of what they do, and hopefully that would then help the teachers to validate why we do these assessments, because we have kids who say, well, they don't try their hardest because they take so many tests. And then the issue is you have teachers who kind of feel that way too, like the kids are over-assessed. And if that's the case, that makes things really, really tough, because if the teachers don't buy into the test and the kids don't really feel like they're buying into the test, you aren't going to get your best performance and the data is pretty invalid then. So that's a concern that we have there that we want to try to fix. So moving into the next section. Do we have any questions?
You talked about, and I've seen this before too, where we, as a staff, we've gone over data, and like you said, we all just kind of, roll our eyes and just get through it and don't pay any attention to it. How do you think in those settings you could get teachers to be more bought into it?
Yeah, that's tough. Because I think the data has to be useful, and I'm not sure that we always know how to use it. And if the data is not useful, it's easy to kind of just move along and not really buy into it. It's important.
So in your collaborative team meetings, were those set up to where you had a set time for those each week? And for a designated amount of time?
The teachers have a common plan time every day. We have PLCs for 3.5 hours once a month. So there's a day every month where there's the mornings are in services and the afternoons from 12 to 3:30 are collab teams. So it's structured however the leader structures them, but you have 3.5 hours a month for that.
Okay.
So when you're talking about data, did you include like the specials, music, and sped teachers, that type of thing? Were they all there?
Yeah, not generally. There may be some mention of district level or building level data where we're in full group, but most of the time the data discussions come into the collab teams where I don't want to say directly affects it affects everybody, but the math data is in the math collab team and the reading data is in the reading collab team and different. So there's not all the specials aren't necessarily present for that part of it. So the next part is just to kind of clarify the kind of help that we're looking for is like I'd love to have suggestions from you guys on like how to get teachers to better support the assessment plan so they really buy into like these are the assessments we're giving and that they come in with the right attitude, and then maybe some suggestions on how we can help teachers to prioritize their common times, whether that's their collab times or common plan times, to where like data becomes a part of that and it's not just about the what's our next lesson plan going to be, but there's a portion of that is what is our data telling us. Any ideas or suggestions for those?
I think you have to have your admins on board, and sometimes admins have different agendas for things, and we don't see the big pictures. At least that's how it goes in our school district. There's usually a set of two different agendas on some things, and so it makes it hard teachers wise. I'm in a small district, everyone knows everyone else, and so there's always little agendas going on. So I think that's the biggest thing I see. Is everyone has their own agenda and nobody's working together. So as far as getting everybody on board, I think the only thing that's going to do that is a restructuring of school systems, if that makes sense. I have felt for a long time that there's a lot of things lacking. We can't teach the way we taught 30 years ago because that's not the population we serve. So, and I think a lot of teachers are resisting. So I think what's going to have to happen is admin's going to have to come in and say, look, this is what we need to do. We've got to change things. And if you don't like it, then, there's the door kind of thing. So
I'll piggyback off that. Just with administration, I believe, you have to have a strong foundation that sets the tone for the school. And I know that in our administration, at the district level, at their district team, brought forth to teachers to relay on to our building that we needed to create some bylaws for our meetings so that we just stick to discussing data and best meeting the needs of our students. And so it was just from, I feel like day one kind of set up that this is the expectations for those meetings with teachers for those collaborative times. This year we broke up into smaller groups. So we just have 3 to 5 teachers on the team. And they also include like your special education teacher, speech path, and really tried to mix those groups. So it wasn't just all teachers, just to gain some better insight. So that's kind of helped us.
I'll piggyback and say that many times I'll ask admin or, maybe a data coordinator or somebody in our school, and they really don't know what's going on. And I don't think that everybody's on the same page. Not that, like Brandy talked about, kind of people have their own agendas. I wouldn't say that's as much of a problem in our school as much as it is. A lot of times there's just not good enough communication, and we all don't know what we're doing and why we're doing it.
Okay. So I appreciate the input there, and I wrote down some things I thought were pretty valuable there. And I think primarily, especially for going to administration, is I think the importance, and basically what you guys were saying is we need instructional leaders. Like we need people who, as leaders, care about the instructions in their class and in their classes in their building. And so being an administrator who can be on board with that and that supporting that process is huge. I mean, I like the quote that can't teach like we taught 30 years ago. And I've said that before, like, we don't prepare kids for their future by teaching them from our past. I think that's what tends to happen a lot. But then really, especially if I'm an instructional leader, really having clear expectations for what happens during collaborative times becomes important. Like, and when you said that, like, but just during collab times, these things have to happen, and making that this is the way it goes. When you guys said that, if you can't do this, then show them the door, and it's, I mean, there's districts that you can do that because you have enough applicants. There's other districts where you have to train everybody up because nobody's going to apply for that job if somebody else is gone. So, but just making sure that our staff understands this is the way we do things here is important, and that's all part of that increased communication piece, and really being strong in communication that this is the way it's going to happen in our building, in our district. So I think that would be very helpful. All right.